Oh yeah, that's cool.
Bro, and I have like the most hillbilly internet in the world. So
Yeah, we'll work through it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's okay. That way you're authentic.
it's true.
Got that fancy city internet.
That way, when everybody wants to know why you got the blues,
It's because my internet
there you
comes
go.
through a water hose.
All right, I'm gonna hit the live on TikTok. Hopefully, everything will be fine the way it is. So, all right. Hey, it's actually working over there too, I think.
Yeah, making it happen.
All right. Well, I guess we'll get going. So tonight on the podcast, we got a fella that I met on TikTok out of Georgia, Scott Lowe. He definitely has a different flavor of music than what we've had on so far. But being from Memphis, it resonates real well from these parts. So I'm been excited to get him on here. Scott, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just hanging out up in here in the North Georgia mountains. Got a couple days off. Just went through some crazy, like, whole family just had COVID, and then my mother-in-law passed. It's been a crazy couple weeks. But it's why we sing the blues, right?
That's right, and because of the internet service, right?
Oh, yeah, and the slowest internet on the planet.
Yeah. Um, so what area of Georgia are you in?
I am literally, like, in the very northeast corner, like 10 minutes from North Carolina, 10 minutes from South Carolina.
I got you. Some pretty
Raven
country out
County,
there.
Clayton, Georgia.
Got you. How is that where you grew up and everything?
I've been here for 10 years, so no. I was born in North Carolina. I went to elementary school south of Nashville in Murfreesboro. Went to junior high and high school in Kalamazoo, Michigan, the home of Gibson Guitars and Green Sky Bluegrass and Bell's Brewery and all kinds of good stuff out of Kalamazoo. Um, and then went to some college out in Washington State, and then moved to Georgia, married my ex-wife. You know, things happen.
Right.
And we moved to Atlanta. I went to a little music school in Atlanta called the Atlanta Institute of Music. And pretty much been playing music for I don't remember the last real job I had. So I've been playing music for a long, long time. I've played with all kinds of people throughout my life, and it's been a wild, wild ride, boys.
You said you've been playing music pretty much all of your life. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 15, and I I've had a few jobs, but I've been playing music like professionally in some way, shape, or form. I went to school for jazz. Like I I have a couple jazz records back in the early 2000s. It was kind of the beginning of my recording my anthology, I guess. Um, and so I kind of like came up in Athens, Georgia. Athens, Georgia is really where I kind of like figured everything out. At the feet of the drive-by truckers and Bloodkin and Widespread Panic and all this stuff, and kind of like my jazz turned into like southern songwriter, folky stuff. I had a band called Efren for a while, and that was kind of my Athens band. Very indie rock meets southern rock, psychedelic folk maybe. But I play guitar in all kinds of bands, hip hop, funk. Just kind of soaking in. I was in like 24 bands in Athens, I think.
Very diverse then, huh?
Oh yeah. But blues has always been really near and dear to my heart. Like, man, like growing up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, like right across the lake from Chicago, the Kalamazoo Blues Fest and the NPR was just all blues and jazz and stuff. And like, I don't know, man, it's very authentic to me. And then on all these other musics and styles I picked up in my travels is all kind of part of my story. And, I'm not playing straight up like Chicago blues. It's a little something different.
Nice. Hey, Scott, Steve here.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, man.
I didn't I got to be honest. First of all, I didn't know about you until Soul tipped me off about your music, and I've enjoyed it since. But also didn't know very much about Clayton, and I went and looked at the pictures online, and I now want to live there. Is it as pretty as it looks?
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I mean, it's crazy because like when I grew up and was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, my parents used to take us camping in like Smoky Mountain National Park and Fall Creek Falls and all kinds of stuff in like East Tennessee. And when I was a little kid, I was like, I want to live in the Smoky Mountains when I grow up, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I don't know how I got here, honestly. Like, I mean, it's a woman and love really brought me here, but I mean, I think maybe that was deep ingrained in my psyche that I wanted to live in these mountains since I was a little kid. And I mean, there's something special about these mountains, man. Like the music and the soul and the struggle, and I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I learned that it was kind of mapped out after like a European city in terms of the actual town itself. Goes back to like
I don't know.
1821 or something. Yeah, all
It
kinds of
feels
cool
like
stuff I
small
learned.
town Georgia. It feels like small town USA to me, you know. But I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
like so this the town of Burton, which is right outside of Clayton. Well, it's now Lake Burton, was one of the first gold rush cities on the East Coast. Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
like before there was a West Coast gold rush, there was like this North Georgia gold rush, right? Like Dahlonega and Burton, but Burton was supposedly like super cosmopolitan, and were like running railroads through these mountains to this little cosmopolitan, fancy gold rush town. And now it's at the bottom of a lake.
All right. I know you talked a little bit about being in Athens, but for somebody who maybe doesn't completely understand what that music scene is like, can you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe how long you were there? I know obviously you played in a bunch of different bands.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you don't know about Athens, like some of the best like Southern bands came out of Athens, you know, and it kind of goes a long way back, like even before REM and you know, the B-52s kind of were like the big 80s push, but there was blues bands and like, I mean, like there's a studio at UGA that like Otis Redding and James Brown sang in and all this stuff, you know, it's like Athens has a long lineage of, cause you know, like one of the big cable or like cable stations was at the UGA back in the day. And so like I sang in the studio into mics that like Otis Redding and James Brown sang into live on NPR in Athens, you know? So, I mean, so we got REM and B-52s and Drive-By Truckers and Widespread Panic and the Wigs and, oh man, where else do we go? I don't even know. Like, so much music has come from Athens. And I think when I was living in Atlanta for a little while and went to Athens a couple times. And the first time I went to Athens, this band's playing, and Michael Stipe gets up and sings with them from REM, and Dave Schools, the bass player from Widespread Panic, sitting in the back corner, and I'm like, what is going on around here? So yeah, man, I was like, I mean, like, was a fan and friends, and like, hung out with so many great players, and I mean, the 40 Watt in Athens and the Georgia Theater are like two iconic Southern venues. You know, needless to say, like the stadium at UGA and all the craziness that's gone on in there. You know, like, I mean, Athens has a crazy, and like, has all kinds of different music, and it's pretty small town. It's only like 120,000 people or something. You know, so like, everybody in town is in 5 bands, you know, and we're all in bands together until somebody like cheats on somebody with their girlfriend, and then there's a freaking mutiny, and you know, 5 bands break up.
One girl, 5 bands. Uh,
Oh
man, I
yeah,
hate it when that happens.
yeah,
Um, so how? I mean, you, you've talked about the really diverse, different kinds of music all over the place, but the music that I found you, like I said, was a variation of Chicago and Delta blues. with your spin on it. How did you kind of land on? Is that something you'd always done, or
I
how did
think you're
you?
kind of you're kind of missing an angle here, and I want to talk about it for a second. That there's this blues called Piedmont blues. You know,
Okay,
like Elizabeth Cotton and Blind Blake, and I mean even like Doc Watson. You know, like I feel like this kind of like East Coast blues, and I think I'm more like Delta blues and East Coast blues than Chicago. Really, Chicago's a lot of like guitar, wah, 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 you know, like turkey calling on the blues, you know, where like
mm,
I kind of like look at like, you know, like Robert Johnson didn't do it that way, you know, like it's a little bit more song oriented back in like the Delta and Piedmont blues. It feels more like they're songwriters over the blues, like whereas like I'm not trying to be like a guitar hero with the blues. That's kind of like I don't really vibe with that kind of guitar hero blues, I think so. But so I I think I kind of try to combine like the Delta and the East Coast blues and then the Appalachian kind of heritage that I live in, and you know, and like I mean, man, I definitely had I had a few months there where I was definitely like I don't want to feel like this is like cultural appropriation or some kind of like weird, because sometimes white guy blues is not my favorite thing, you know? And so
right.
I wanted to make something that was kind of my own, where I kind of already have a foundation. Like if you go listen to my older records, there's like this songwriter foundation that I've laid, I feel like. And so I'm playing blues in more of a like troubadour style, I feel like, but playing it very traditionally with a resonator guitar and a slide. Like really been digging into like Charlie Patton and Son House and like old, but also the Piedmont stuff like John Jackson and Blind Blake and Doc Watson and all these like Piedmont blues guys. And I feel like that is a blues that is like ignored by most of the world, and it's probably some of the coolest. Like Piedmont blues picking is so close to like Travis picking, like the alternating thumb, like Towns and all these dudes did. Like it is degrees of separation from Towns Van Zandt and Piedmont blues, you know. And like I feel like I have been trying to kind of bring some education, but also like some respect on that name, you know?
Is that so? Is that something that when did you really start to, I guess, kind of take that aim in that direction that you wanted to, that was something you wanted to shine a light on? How long ago was that?
So, I mean, like, I started playing guitar when I saw Buddy Guy in the Kalamazoo State Theater when I was 15 years old. Buddy's band was on stage and he came through the back of the auditorium wireless and stopped like right by me on the aisle. And dude, my life was forever changed right in that moment, you know? So I don't think I ever really lost that like blues vibe. Like you go listen, like there's a blues song on every record I've ever put out. You know, it's like it's always in there.
Gotcha.
But now I think
Gotcha.
I'm expressing it in a way. So a year ago, August last year, I bought a Recording King resonator and I tuned that thing to open tunings and started messing around with the slide. So I've only been playing the slide thing for like a year, and I'd never so I had played lap steel for a while. Like I've been on a bunch of different records playing lap steel, but and on my records and stuff. But you know, it's hard to play lap steel solo. You know, it's like I don't even know how you play like some Hawaiian music to a backing track or something. You know. But
Right.
so I had played some slide guitar, but I'd never played like bottleneck with on a resonator, like old school slide guitar. And so I think about a year ago, I really started finding that voice. And there's something about a slide guitar that just gets people, you know? And like, why is that? You know, like, why does a slide guitar like make people's hair on their arms stand up? You know? And I really started thinking about that and how, you know, like the original instrument is the voice, right?
Right.
And there's things the voice can do that you can't do on a regular guitar with frets or a piano that are you have note, 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 you know? And with a slide guitar, there's no, like you can do like a voice and get higher and lower, you know, and have inflection a little more. You know, I mean, Derek Trucks, Dwayne Allman, these dudes like sing like an old black lady on their guitar, you know? And I think I really found this voice with this slide, and it's just exponentially been growing and growing. And honestly, I go back and listen to my record I put out 6 months ago. I was so bad when I recorded that record. Like, I'd only been playing slide for like 4 months. And now I'm like, I can't wait to put out another record and be like, holy crap, I can actually play this thing now, you know? So I think, you know, there was this kind of evolution of, I don't know why. I don't really remember why I bought the resonator. I wanted to kind of mess around with slide, I guess, but it wasn't really the intention to like change my whole sound. You know, like I basically like went from like, I mean, my previous record to this was me and a fiddle player, very acoustic and folk music, you know, and the one before that was like straight up Americana country rock, you know, like it was kind of a big shift, but I think I also just found inspiration and I chased it, you know. I just went down the rabbit hole of slide guitar and went down this rabbit hole of blues and Piedmont blues and all this stuff, which I'd already like been a fan of, but I just went OCD on it, and here we are. And now I have a record that's been on the blues charts for damn 6 months. I don't know how.
Well, I was wondering if part of the way you were playing, I know you do gigs by yourself. I know you've done gigs with like a harp player and all these different things,
Mm-hmm.
but you're able to do these gigs by yourself with a couple percussion instruments and all that. I was curious if part of why your sound evolved into that is because you could do those, you can do those gigs by yourself, and it's not just you sitting on a guitar strumming an acoustic. I mean, sitting on a
No.
bar still strumming an acoustic. It's a higher energy solo show, I guess is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
Well, I also have a loop pedal, which is part of the solo show. But I try to be very tasteful with it and not like take
Right.
10 minutes to build up a loop. You know, it's like I try to just like lay little rhythmic things down that I can like then just kind of, you know, nothing like super wild. Sometimes I'll
Right.
get a little crazy when I get jamming, but just also like kind of, you know, fill the room, play to the room, whatever I'm kind of feeling. Um, I, I definitely, I got so many great players up here in these hills around me, man. Like I have like a list of 10 dudes that I like kind of call on. And dude, some of them, I mean, one of them just played keyboards like at City Field with Little Big Town and freaking uh Sugarland this morning. It's like 7 a.m. or something. My keyboard player. Like I have like crazy world class musicians that moved up here during COVID. And dude, I have this list of like 10 dudes that I kind of just pull in and pull out. But I also can play it solo. And honestly, like I've been playing solo for so long. Like I toured around this country for 4 or 5 years playing solo, like 200 shows a year, roaming around like a damn folk singer troubadour. And so I'm very comfortable that way. I'm almost more comfortable by myself than I am with a band. But I've also played in a ton of bands too. So I think
Right.
I think I like it. I like that my band right now is very fluid, and they're like it'll be 3 piece, 4 piece, 7 piece. Go play a solo show, you know, and it keeps it all very fresh. And I think that really satisfies my like jazz and jam band
Yeah.
buckets. I'm filling those buckets.
Understood.
I would like to know about the fly fishing art music endeavor, if you don't mind sharing a little bit
I
about
don't
that
have the
and
shirt on.
how that came about.
Um, so I have a place called Hatch Camp and Art Farm. You can find it on all social media, Hatch Camp and Art Farm. Look for trout and music and art and whatnot. So let's see, where do we begin here? So I quit drinking 10 years ago. Being a musician and playing on the road all the time, like booze is free, and then you go back to that place as booze is free, and you know it's like, and especially in Athens, like oh boy, Athens is fueled by booze and football, and then music, right? Um,
Right.
So I was really good at it. Um, and then my lady wasn't so good at it, and I really loved her, and she quit and moved up here. She's from here. Okay. Her stepdad, whose name is Steve Perry, which is kind of amazing. But he was the president of Trout Unlimited up here in Raven County. And so when I moved up here, I just quit drinking. He handed me a fly rod, and I just started fishing my way on tour around the country. Okay. So there was like 2 years there where I was just like, I was routing my tours to where I wanted to go fish, you know? And so Montana, Colorado, Michigan, Vermont, all these places, I've bought fishing licenses in like 20 some states, right? And it's all because of music, really, or vice versa. So I move up here and I record a record that gets me a record deal, right? And so I'm like, my record, The New Vintage, which is probably one of my best efforts, I feel like. And I still sell a ton of those things and people love it. So if you haven't heard that record, go listen to The New Vintage. And so got married, got pregnant, kind of was like, I can't be on the road 200 dates a year. That's how I lost my first wife, you know? Like, so I was like, maybe we can start guiding fly fishing. Cool. Find a property with a trout stream on it. So I end up building a like amphitheater vibe pavilion with a stage, and we have concerts here 2-3 times a month and little mini festivals. And I have a little fly shop that was like this old garage on the property that I sit in there and tie flies and play guitars and talk to hillbillies and fishermen. And man, fishing stories and songwriting are very, very similar. You know, there's lots of bullshitting going on, you know, like
I bet so.
like I tell people when they step foot in my shop, you're not leaving for like an hour. Like you come into my fly shop, like we're going to find more than just fishing to talk about. And fishing's going to take up a long time, you know, because you got to tell me about the best fish you caught. You got to tell me about the best fish you lost, and probably 5 of those, you know. So it's a fun time. And honestly, I still play a ton. Like, honestly, this new record has really invigorated me playing wise. And I played some amazing shows and hosted some amazing shows here. Like, we've got a killer show here this weekend. And I've actually got, like, tonight, and then I have tomorrow night off. And then I have 6 nights in a row of music. So it's about to be on this week.
Sounds like
How
fun.
how was that different for you as a? I know you're a huge music fan also. So you get to do these festivals or these little showcases and stuff at your place. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how is that different for you getting to bring the music to you and your guests and everything compared to being, your roles are reversing.
So I think I also have to admit that I almost view this place as like I get to jam with all my friends. So like I basically sit in with everybody that's here, play steel guitar, play slide, electric, whatever, and I get to just keep my chops up, and I get to learn new songs and all this stuff, right? So I'm kind of
Hmm.
curating my own little jam sessions, right? Or like getting to be able to like get to share my friends. A lot of these people that come play here, I toured with 10 years ago or whatever, you know, or I have made relationships. Like I was trying to get you to come play, you know, it was like, I love to be able to like share my friends and curate and facilitate, you know, I just read a quote the other day. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get this tattooed on me. It was like, if you are a musician and you're not actively uplifting your community, then you're just playing music business, right? You know, like, and I
A
feel
lot of
like
truth to that.
I have this great platform here, you know, and we're about to start building a bunch of crazy stuff and just talking about doing like songwriting weekends and like really turn this place into like a blossoming artist community, you know, which it is very hard to balance when I have a record that's like popping off and I'm doing interviews and playing 20 plus nights a week. And my wife, I love her.
It's important.
Yeah.
The most important thing you've said the whole show so far to keep
Yeah.
everything grounded right now.
And she'll probably never hear this because I've done, and since the record come out, I've done this 2-3 times a month, getting on podcasts. And I did like an Italian radio show. Like, this record has gone to places I would never thought it would have. Dude, I made this record I'm talking about the Appalachian Blues, the folks who don't know. We haven't really talked about it. I put out a record called the Appalachian Blues on March 1st. I recorded it in my basement, sitting right where I am right now, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and put it out on March 1st. And since then, it's taken me to all kinds of crazy places that I kind of had almost given up on. Atlanta, I almost given up on going to play big cities. I was like, I got all these little places up here in the mountains. I'm just going to play up here. Ba-da-da. And then Athens started calling and Atlanta started calling. And I was like, whoa, y'all. Like, what is this? What is happening?
Why do you think that is? What's the feedback you've heard on that album that opened those doors for you?
I think a lot of people, I think it's very authentic to me. I think I really found a sound and a message and a vehicle that I think I kind of had touched on a few times in my career. But I think I just found this voice. Listen, I feel this music so intently. I literally dislocated ribs singing so hard throughout all this album release tour. Like, I have literally physically injured myself because I feel this music so deeply. Okay. Um, I really think authenticity is something that I was I think we're always searching for in our music and in music that we love, there's stuff you come across and you're like, man, that's good, but it feels like not real or like not authentic or not like it's good, but it's just not, or it just doesn't resonate with you as it does with someone else. Like, dude, I like Zach Bryan, but he doesn't resonate with me like the people that all my friends that just went and saw him in Atlanta the other night. It's like,
Right.
he just doesn't resonate with me, but I respect it, but I feel like there's something, like, I just hit a note, and I think it has something to do with this dang slide, that like slide guitar gets into people, and that like it being so close to that resonant sound that you hear in your voice. I don't know. I feel like it's some kind of alchemy or something, like steel on steel, nickel on nickel, whatever it is. There's some kind of alchemy there that resonates with people. And I think with the long road I've had of writing songs and trying to be accessible to my audience, I think kind of led me here. It's like, I don't think it was one single thing. I think it's all these 1,000 points of light that kind of came together on this record. And I mean, I hate to have expectations, but the record I'm making right now is, good Lord, if that one is good, this one I feel like is freaking really good.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Well, since we've talked a little bit about the record that came out on March 1st, do you have something that you would like to play for us?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's do that.
I know we'd love to hear it.
So first, let's talk about this. This is a Regal Tricone resonator guitar. Okay. This guitar I bought myself for my birthday in October last year. And this album just exploded from this guitar. Okay, so let me see. Can I get so I can see? I tune it to open D for all y'all nerds. Okay. So you don't have to ask that later or in the comments. It's open D. E A D F sharp A D. I play flat wound, nickel flat wound strings on this thing. So there's no zing, right? With like the phosphor bronze normal strings, you do this and it's like, oh, right? And in the resonator guitar, it like amplifies that zing so much, and it's really annoying to me. So I put flat wound nickel strings and got a nickel slide. So I have some kind of, I don't know what kind of magnetism I'm brewing up, but we're brewing up some kind of magnetism over here. Okay. I kind of had thought about what songs to play. All right, so I'm gonna play a song called "Folks" off the record. It is, it's. I always introduce it at shows as, you know, like, it's kind of hard to write a blues song when your life is awesome, you know, and like I have a great wife and great kids, and I have this sweet business in my front yard, and I really don't have to go very far or do a whole lot, and I have this awesome time. Okay, you know. And so I wrote a blues song about things being awesome, but like, don't like wait around for them to pass you by, you know, like grab onto those freaking good times, you know. So this song's called Folks, y'all. Nobody said I was lucky. Let me tell you, they were wrong. Got the best wife, some beautiful kids, helping me try to write these songs. All got big old eyes, finger, fingers and toes. Then came blonde and green, well, who knows? Full heads of hair and ideas, feeding hearts and becoming whole. When you weren't looking, too tired to give up, these folks seem to be looking for love, more bad love, looking for love, more bad love. All gone to places we never seen. I found some faith in these songs. Vegas nights and Manhattan lights, love and money, right and wrong. You can be what you wanna be. Don't let this music bring you down. Drove so much the gas prices fall, even in this small town. When you were looking, too tired to give up, these folks seem to be looking for love, more bad love, looking for love, more bad love, for love, more bad love, looking for love, more bad love, looking for love, more bad love, looking for love, more bad love.
can definitely tell on that song where you're talking about even though you're playing that the blues style, you still got a lot of
I
I
thought
guess
you.
as you said, you still got a singer songwriter thing going on there too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was just listening to the new American Aquarium before I came on here. I know you're a fan, and like, I mean, me and BJ, we used to run circles around the South together, you know, and like, I've opened for them. We'd play Friday night. They'd be playing Saturday night. You know, it's like I've been running these roads like, and like I have ton of respect for him, and like that whole like Central North Carolina crew. Him, Caleb Cottle. There's a couple other dudes, but you know, there's some good stuff out of Central North Carolina for sure.
Yeah, we actually had Bill Corbin on was episode 4, I believe it was, the bass
Yeah,
player from
oh
back
yeah.
then.
I
Yeah.
played shows with them. That original band was so much fun, man. But I mean, the new band's killer too. Like, ain't no
Yeah.
flaws there.
No, no, no. No, it's just different, but it's still
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
I want, since you've been talking about the road a little bit, and I know you gave us a little bit of how you planned out where you were going to play, but I want a really good road story if you have one.
Oh man. I mean, oh gosh. All right, let's see. God,
He's
it's
trying to
like
stay. He's gonna
I
stay
don't want to tell
married too,
stories that are
Tyler.
incriminating. I don't want to incriminate anyone else either.
Maybe any
Um,
fan interaction or crazy requests or I don't know.
so how about I'm gonna tell you a story about a night that was kind of a turning point in my career, and it was kind of I kind of actually like lucked out a little bit. So it was probably one of the biggest gigs I've ever been asked to play, and I got asked to open for Chris Stapleton. Okay, and this was right after Traveler had come out, and day of the show, the promoter calls me and he's like, "Hey, Chris is bringing his own opener," and I was like, "I've been pushing this show, you know, like," and I was so bummed. And then like, "Hey, how about you just play on the roof after?" And he brought Sam. Oh, what was the guy's name? I've seen it. I like his music. Sam. I don't know. Another Nashville songwriter guy. He's killer. I can't remember his name. And dude, that dude got eaten alive on stage. Like literally chewed up and spit out and chanted off of stage. Because this was before Chris became Chris. This was when Chris was still a songwriter and had written a bunch of pop country
Right.
hits. And they were there to
Mhm.
see that. Right. And so it wasn't like now, right? But then I got to play on the roof, and dude, I made so many friends that I'm still super close with that night, and like made so many fans that night. And it was one of these things where like, man, there's so much rejection in music. Like I get told no or no response way more than I get told yes in the music business, you know? And
Mhm.
for that to have happened that way and got to like smoke a joint with Chris and like, you know, like for that to have happened that way and like literally changed the direction of my life, you know, and how, you know, like I thought it was going to be like a night that I was going to be like, oh, what could have happened? But it actually worked out. Where had I opened for Chris, who knows what would have happened, you know?
Right.
I'm sure
So
it would have been fine, but that worked out pretty well.
I'm just thinking of stories like, I mean, like we could talk about Texarkana on a Sunday night to like the most barflies you've ever met. And like going home to stay, like these folks were like, hey, come stay with us, whatever. And they ended up being like the biggest crackheads you've ever met. But like, I didn't know where else to go. You know, I was young and crazy. And, you know, there's all these stories. I mean, making
I like
$5,000
to
at a
hear.
gig and tearing up a town till the freaking next day where we had to play another gig, you know, like, I mean, man, Columbia, South Carolina has been I've punched that city in the mouth so many times. Like, I don't know why. Me and Columbia, South Carolina, just like, and it's kind of crazy because the new Vintage record got signed to a label out of Columbia, South Carolina. So I ended up like hanging out there a bunch and like recording a
I think we
record
like
there and all.
hearing the road stories and the sleeping on the couches and everything because uh, because that's not something we're going to do.
Oh yeah, that's
You
long
know what I
ago.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
If I'm
that's
not getting a hotel, I'm probably just driving 6 hours home. Like
yeah,
I'd rather drive than sleep on a couch probably.
yeah.
And like it's really been 6-7 years since I've done that. Like I've been pretty much just hitting this like, 'cause so where I live is 2 hours from Atlanta, Asheville, Greenville, Knoxville, Chattanooga. Like I just have this like radius, and like how many breweries and wineries are between Atlanta and Asheville? That all pay me $300, whatever, and it's just killer. Like people listen in breweries for some reason. I don't know why, but
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's
That's
just
kind of a,
yeah. I can see that. It's not a honky tonk. There, it is more of a listening room sort of situation,
totally. And there's some
which
really
that's
sweet
probably why there's not
breweries.
many around here.
Yeah. Some of these breweries tucked up in these mountains are magical places.
Sounds like a tour I need to make right there. Not
Let's
not
go.
playing music, but just listening to music.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
come
with you.
on.
Just holler.
Yeah.
Just come on Scott
And
Lowe tour with me for a weekend.
no couches. I'd be good with that.
I
Uh,
mean, I go home every night. It's like, there ain't no tour. It's like, I go play and drive 2 hours home, go play. Like this week, I'm in Highlands, North Carolina, Bryson City, North Carolina. We have a show here at my place. I'm back in Highlands Sunday, and then I'm in Clayton on Monday. So,
I feel like there would be maybe folks would enjoy a No Couches tour T-shirt, right? No Couches. I
too
like
old for
that.
couches.
Yeah, too old for
Freaking
couches T-shirt.
um,
antacids and hotels.
one of our regulars, Jude, in the chat here asked, "Do you do your booking yourself?" So I guess that's the question Talbot usually likes to ask as far as your team and what
There
that
ain't no
looks like
team.
for you on your
This is the
show.
team. This is the team right here. Um, I will say I did have some help on this record. I had a couple buddies help with promo and like content creating and stuff. So I did have some help. Um, but I mean, I see it's crazy up here in these hills. Like booking, they like everywhere up here books the whole year in January. Okay.
Hmm.
So, or at least till like October, and then they book the rest. Like, I don't know. It's like I basically book my whole year in January and February, and I'm booking all these breweries like every other month, and then trying to get an Athens show here, and an Atlanta show here, and a Greenville show here, and a Knoxville show here, and and just like pinging around the cities. Those are kind of the focused ones where those are booked like 3-4 months out. Like the big cities, I'm booking 3-4-5 months out. Where like all these little breweries and wineries and venues up here in these little small towns, I'm booking like in January, I'm booking May, June, August, October dates there. And that's kind of how I function and pretty much keep it. I mean, so I also have like every Thursday night gig up in Highlands, which the best gig of my life. I love this place. It's called the Highlander Mountain House, and he has like I just saw Mike Cooley from the Drive By Truckers playing there last 2 weeks ago. He's had the Future Birds playing there, Zusto, Hooray for the Riff Raff, like all kinds of killer people he'll do like $100 ticket, $90 tickets, fill a restaurant. It's a magical place. So I was like, hey, let's do blues night or something. And so I started right when like the week I finished recording my record, I started this Thursday night blues gig. And I play that every Thursday night up in Highlands, North Carolina. And it's like taxidermy everywhere. All the couches got sheepskin on it. It's like, so Highlands is where the billionaires go to vacation. It's like there's like Rolls Royces and Bentleys and all kinds of shit rolling around town. And I mean,
Hmm.
there ain't ever single dollar bills in my tip jar up there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's some big bills flying around that town. I sold like 12 vinyl last Thursday. Like, it's a freaking killer. Like, I love this place. So that's something and I love a residency where I'm inspired. You know, like I played some residencies where I like, this is Groundhog's Day. I don't want to do this, you know,
Right.
but this place, I'm like, every week it's me and my harmonica player. And sometimes I'll bring in other dudes, but it's a pretty small spot and like it's vibey, 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 very vibey. And I love it. And so I think like now in my life, I'm trying to find gigs like that I love, not gigs that I'm just
Right.
paying bills or, you know, like gigs that I love, but I also feel like I'm making a difference in my career. You know, like these people coming to Highlands are hiring me for parties, buying my records, sharing it with their friends. You know, like I'm building a fan base of real rich people. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
So I'm curious about how you've kind of structured or implemented your social media to market to the non-billionaires.
Um, I think they want to live vicariously through my like sludgy, dirty blues. You know, it's like this like, and I think I present a good show. I tell a good story. Um, I think I'm a decent enough guitar player that they're like, and also this guitar is such a conversation point. Man, those guys, those rich dudes up in Highlands love to talk about my guitar with me, you know. So like, there's lots of like I say, being a musician is more than just like what I play and how you brand it. You know, it's like there's like all this like talking to people, like being accessible, you know, and like trying to like help people change their perspective for their time with me, you know, and like give them some way to look like I show up to this fancy restaurant on Thursday nights in tie dye and camo pants and like, you know, I think they're like, oh man, I kind of wish I could do that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the another one of the questions is, what are some of your favorite songs to cover?
Oh man, I mean, I've been doing so many crazy weird blues songs recently. I've been trying to learn a blues song a week for this Thursday night gig, you know? So
Mm,
some of the ones that have really stuck, um, I've been doing a lot. So going into the Appalachian blues, I really had my main goal was to make a record that would get me to open for Taj Mahal or get me to meet Taj Mahal or something. Okay. I was like, that was really like in like that guitar. And I was just kind of learning a bunch of Taj Mahal songs. So like there's like Fish and Blues, freaking, on my brain, Fish and Blues, Ain't Nobody's Business, a bunch of these songs that Taj kind of did in his own way. So I love singing Taj Mahal songs. Um, I, dude, I've been loving playing some of those newer John Prine songs on the slide. I've been playing like I Remember Everything and Summer's End and, uh,
that's a different
yeah,
take on that.
it's a lot of fun. And a lot of those songs are just so 145 stuff, you know, it's like, man, blues music gave us folk music, gave us country music, you know, it's all right there, you know,
Right.
like, I'm just trying to take it like taking it back to the origins and like, you know, all these songs. And like, I think my jazz background too, like I play my songs different every night. I'm in Grateful Dead, man. Like I'm such a big Deadhead. Like I'm improvising everything, you know? And so, I mean, like I'll play Cover Me Up on the slide. I love doing that, especially I play it in the key of D, the open D with that song is freaking awesome. I don't know, like it's crazy because like I used to play so much stuff that is like right up your alley, soul. Like back when I played regular guitar, like I was playing Goddamn
Mhm.
Lonely Love and freaking uh a
Right.
bunch of like oh man Lucero. I used to play so much Lucero. Like I used to love
The
playing like
hometown guys there.
yeah, dude. I mean, I just actually that's funny. Some girl just hit me up on Facebook and she sent me a video of me playing in Memphis at now I'm never remember the bar. But I was playing in Memphis and it's
Buccaneer.
a video. No, it was like kind of a divey bar, like not downtown, like I don't know.
Right.
But this girl, she sends me this message. She's like, "Hey, I'd love to record this song of a video of me playing slow dancing." Lucero song.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, that's awesome, but you don't need to talk to me. You need to talk to them, and they're in your town, so go find them. She's like, oh yeah, I will. And so I don't know if that'll ever happen or whatever, but crazy
As
little
long as they've
Memphis
been
story.
around and as much as they tour and all that stuff, I can still play a Lucero song in the same area code, and very, very, very few people know who they
It's
are. It's
crazy.
That's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
so wild. Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
then you get these 1-6 dudes that will be singing every word,
Oh yeah,
like the Lucero fans are like deadheads, man. Like they know every word, every song, every version. It's
it's the
crazy.
same as the American Aquarium guys, where because they can
Hmm.
Lucero can have two festivals a year and have a huge crowd here in town, and
Hmm.
most of the crowd that's there are not locals.
Right. Totally.
Everyone's
It's like the
flying in
truckers.
for the show.
Truckers do the same thing. Everybody does that hometown throwdown thing. It's awesome though.
If Scott, if you could have one artist cut one of your songs, who would it be and why?
Like, like, like of all time, anybody, anytime,
Yeah, anybody. It makes it a little bit more fun.
like dead or alive.
Yeah, yeah, anybody.
The first one that came to mind when you said that was Taj Mahal, just because of the way you've been playing and what you were talking about, like that. I don't know, but
I mean, the
I'm
first one
curious
that
to hear
came to my
you
mind,
say.
the first thing that came to my mind was Billy Strings. But like, I mean, he don't need my help. Um,
No, this is for you.
I mean, I think Taj Mahal is a great call. I mean, like my favorite, it's like the people I love them because they're originally them. It's like I would hate to impose my bullshit upon them. You know, like I, because like it's like I'm like all those truckers. He's like, I would love the truckers to play one of my songs. I would die probably. Just because they're such like.
Uh-oh.
Did we win? Did we win the contest?
I'm not sure what that was,
um,
but sure, yeah, we won.
but I mean, okay, let's go this route. How about like Waxahachie, like a female? I want a female to sing
Yeah.
my songs, or like Susan Tedeschi. Susan Tedeschi Truck plays Appalachian blues. Probably would poop myself.
I got you.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
all great choices.
Yeah.
It's trying to. Sorry, it's telling me that it's gonna end the TikTok live. It's screwing up. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
it won't stop us on the other on the.
Well, I'll ask another question here while Soul tinkers.
Yeah.
What about who's somebody that we probably don't know about that we should maybe be listening to?
I mean, Waxahachie, that girl. I'm so stuck on her last two records. Um, and then so there's a guy that sings backup on the Waxahachie record. This kid from Asheville, MJ Linderman, and he's got a new record coming out. It's kind of more indie rock, indie folk stuff. But his harmonies on that last Waxahachie record make that record to me. And also the first single he put out, the song is like Kahlua Shooter, DUI Scooter. Oh, what is the freaking? I don't know. It intrigued me just that like it opens Kahlua Shooter, DUI Scooter. Like that's a way to open a freaking record or a song. But that's like really indie rock stuff almost. Like it's kind of Americana-y, I guess. I think there's a lot of great stuff coming out of Asheville right now, like MJ Linderman, the band Wednesday. Those are two killer new acts. I feel like that are. But I mean, I've got a bunch of old friends that nobody's ever heard of. Like, I mean, like Caleb Cottle's kind of making his way these days. But I feel like if you don't know Caleb Cottle, he's about to put out his best record of his life, and he's one of my best friends. Me and him quit drinking together. We were on the same booking agency forever together. I highly endorse Caleb Cottle. He is one of the hardest working dudes out there, right up there with BJ and
I keep
these
seeing
dudes that have
that name for some reason
I think you
here
would dig it.
recently, and I don't know why, but I remember seeing that name a lot lately. for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
He's from like Winston-Salem area, like Central North Carolina. Very like Guy Clark, John Prine, and he's got a killer band. One of my homie fellow slide players who actually plays This Way, Dobro, Carter Gingrich, killer Dobro player. He's got his band, his new album's called Sweet Critters, and he just named his band, Caleb called them the Sweet Critters. And that's a good one. My boy Aaron Lee Tasjan from East Nashville, he just putting out a new record too. That dude has played, he's played on like late night TV in 4 different bands or something. He's been doing it a long time too. And that dude's one of the best guitar players on the planet. Aaron Lee Tasjan. He's like homies with like Todd Snyder and that kind of like freaky folky East Nashville vibe. Man, I can go on. Hannah Kaminer from Asheville. She's a killer female country folk singer. Let's see. Can we keep going? What else we got? Woolly Booger. He's a dude from like Murphy, North Carolina. It's also a name of a fly that I have tattooed on my arm right here. Woolly Booger. He's honestly kind of an impetus in my blues thing. He's very bluesy, and me and him been hanging out, and I definitely give him. And there's another girl from Western North Carolina, Heidi Holton, who's she's like a voodoo witch doctor. You don't mess with her. She literally sells like voodoo dolls on her merch table. You don't mess with her. So maybe I shouldn't say her name.
So,
Smart
who,
kid.
what do you have coming up? I know you've talked about the new album you're extremely proud of and everything that you're working on. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit more about that and make sure we touch on that before we get out of here.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, my family went to Florida for the week, and I locked myself in the basement and started a new album. Since I proved to myself that I can make a record in my basement, we're just going to try it again. But this time, I'm like, the Appalachian Blues is all me. There's nobody else on the record. I sing all the harmonies, play all the instruments, everything. Just me in my basement. This record, I've already got like buddies laid down bass and harmonies, and drums are being laid down right now. Keys, harmonica, like we're gonna have a full band production here out of my basement. And so I've started this new record, and so like we were kind of talking about how I feel like bing bong. I feel like this Appalachian Blues record did so well because I feel like the blues crowd is very sharing and very like want to be the person to find the new stuff. Where I feel like some of the Americana and country stuff is a little like, ooh, I want to keep this mine, or I don't want to. It's not as a sharing and like, because like, dude, I sent the Appalachian Blues to like 6 or 8 radio DJs, and they sent it all over the world. Like it just spread, where I did that with my folk and Americana records, and it was just like it was lost in the I don't know. So
Right.
with this newest record that I'm recording right now, I've decided that I'm going to do a record of all the old blues songs the Grateful Dead used to do and call it the Grateful Blues. And I'm going to combine 2 very sharing and obsessive fan bases and put them together on this record and hopefully create Voltron, and,
That's wild.
be able to play blues festivals and jam band festivals and like
Yeah.
gather the people around this. Like, I mean, like, man, there ain't much more American than blues music, like
Right.
blues music is what maybe the nexus of what may be the greatest contribution to the worldwide society, in that America has given us music, like the United States is known for our music and failing capitalism, and so like, and blues is really what made that music. right? I mean, gave us jazz, blues gave us country, blues gave us bluegrass, blues gave us rock and roll, So I feel like I'm kind of like bringing us back to the nexus with the blues, but now I get to bring my jam band hippie flavors in there a little bit.
You get
I've
to
never
make
really
music
made
with your
like
buddies.
yeah, and play up in these mountains and have a good time. So I'm really bad about posting like my shows to like songs or bands in town and song kick and all that stuff, but I try to do it every now and then. But I really don't tour so much. I just kind of play in my tri-state area right here. Like
Right.
North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. So you want
Yeah,
to come visit me? You want to come fly fishing? You want to come, whatever, hang out? I try to be accessible and I try to like, share and let's pass on these songs. Let's share them, That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
sounds great. I think
So,
we are, Soul. I think we are ready for the signature No Name Radio podcast question of the evening.
Well, there's another one that I would like to ask Scott, just
Maybe,
because I'm
maybe we
curious
are.
to what we've had all these different folks on, and Scott's got a very like we've talked about diversity this whole time. What was Scott Lowe's first concert that you went to, that you attended?
I mean, so like my parents took me to like it was either Huey Lewis in the News or Amy Grant at MTSU Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But the first
Gotcha.
shows that I bought tickets to was Buddy Guy, Bob Dylan, and Fish, all at the Kalamazoo State Theater, summer like 92, 93, 93 probably.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
just got my
It's a good one.
license. So I mean, Buddy Guy, Bob Dylan, Fish, that's kind of like pretty formative and still very ingrained upon me.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I had a feeling yours would be uh, different than most. Not Billy
Right.
Ray Cyrus or In Sync. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not young, and I've been doing this a while, and I mean, seeing Huey Lewis like in the news, just saying that. I mean, when was the last Huey Lewis in the news show?
understood. Understood. That's when the heart of rock and roll was still beating, though.
Yeah, and you need some new drugs.
All right, man. So the toughest question of the night, Scott Lowe. What is your favorite Little Debbie cake?
So my mother-in-law just passed away this last week. She was a sweet, sweet lady. Rest in peace, Elizabeth Perry. And at her funeral home, there was those like southern, like multi-tiered serving dishes. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about? Like they got like multi-tiers with the handle on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fancy. Yeah.
Full of every different kind, a little Davy snack. So I feel like
That's
I got
what
to
they're
be
going to do at
really
my funeral now. After asking this question so much, that's
yes. So now you
100%.
have goals. I'm giving you life goals right now.
I got you. I got you.
Uh,
I got to step up my
so
Little Debbieisms.
I'm gonna go with the one that I ate at and it was the classic oatmeal cream pie, dude.
So excited.
There's no wrong
Please
answer.
also,
No
Yeah,
wrong
there's
sorry,
no
answer.
wrong
Soul.
answer
Yeah, no wrong answer. Soul, please
unless you
don't
make
share
it
that with.
political. And if you make it political, it might be the wrong answer.
Yeah, yeah. What'd you say, Tabo?
No, I just said, hey, there's certain friends that you may not want to give that address out to.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. Well, all right, man. Well, Scott, it's been a long time coming. We've talked about doing this off and on for a while now. I'm glad
Yeah,
we
man.
finally were able to get you on.
Now we just got to get you
Everybody,
to Hatch Camp.
yeah, no doubt about it. I've never fly fished, and I've never really spent time in the mountains besides having to do the touristy stuff. So
Yeah.
I would like to see the actual mountains, not
Well,
Las
we'll book
Vegas
you a
in between the
show.
mountains.
We'll book you a show. You come fish with me. We'll sit on the creek, play songs, go play some little mountain breweries. It'll be amazing.
Yeah, it sounds great. So nice to meet you, and we appreciate you taking time to hang out and chat with us.
Okay, y'all.
So, everybody, before we sign out of here, make sure you go follow Scott on wherever you stream your music. hit the subscribe button. So anytime he releases something, you'll know about it. All of his social medias. Comment, like, share, engage in the comments so they grow and don't just sit there stagnant. So that helps artists more than you'll ever realize. So
Just click it.
right, just do it.